Hey, Mr. Layton here, and in this video, we're going to talk about articulations. How we use our tongue, or when we don't use our tongue, while we're playing a wind instrument. Now, this can apply to string instruments too, but this video is going to be primarily focused on wind players and the use of your tongue, okay? So, amazing articulations brought to you by Happy Dog. This is Happy Dog approved. I love that little picture. That is not my dog, but that is a very awesome looking dog. So here in this thing, we're gonna show you the whole note first. Okay, whole note is held out for 4 beats. Now you're probably saying, why does it look like that? When we start the whole note, right, we're gonna hold all the way to the downbeat of the next beat. That's how we get a full value on the whole note. Some students like to cut off at 4, or they don't hold a true value. So a whole note should be held until the downbeat of 1. And then that's when you start the next note, or there's a rest. Okay, so we tongue the very beginning on beat 1. So if I were to snap time and sing la or ta, I'll say ta and sing a note. So I'll sing this note, concert B flat, ta. So I sang all the way to that one beat. Let me do that again. And I want you to think about time, okay? And I'll tap right here. 1, 2, 3, ta. Okay, that is a full 4 beats. And I want you to think of your toe tapping down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, off when your toe taps the 5th time. So actually 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and release. Okay, slurred on the same pitch. When you see the same note and there's a slur marking, we are gonna use a light tongue, and we're gonna think of the syllable da. Da, 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 da. And there's a little tiny bit of space. So this is what we're seeing here, the length of the note. And you can think of it like when you see sound files in a computer or in recording software, you might see a block of sound. And I want you to imagine when you're playing your wind instrument, there's a block of sound for each of your notes, but there's a sliver of space, and that's where your tongue is slightly just grazing the airstream with that light tongue, da, da. And so that brings me to tenuto. Those are pretty much the same thing, except this is the same note, and tenuto would be different notes. So if I sing up our 5 notes of a concert B flat scale, do, re, mi, fa, or da, 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 da. They're connected, almost no space, almost no space. Okay, and sometimes composers want you to have absolutely just connected notes. Um, so they'll tell you otherwise too. Sometimes you see these weird symbols. Why do they do this? Well, it's staccato tenuto, so it is connected, um, but with a slight space to it. So it's not short like staccato, but they just want to add that space. Da, da, da. It's still long, but there's a little bit more space. So tenuto is like almost no space in between each sound, and there is a slight space in between each sound. I would still use the syllable da or ta. Now, staccato is short, and you want to get in the habit of playing staccato as short as possible, because when you play in a band room or a rehearsal space, it's gonna sound short if you're like dup, dup, right? But when you get into a hall, it's gonna sound way longer. So I like to think of staccato as being played as the syllable. I think of as dit, 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 dit. So anytime you have a staccato note, think of dit, and the length of that note should almost be equal to like an eighth note followed by a rest. So dit, 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 accents. So this diagram here on the right, where my mouse is at, is kind of showing these two horizontal lines, and that is the volume of the note, right? So wherever your volume's at in the music, if the composer says you're at mezzo forte, right? And then you see an accent, you're going to go slightly above that mezzo forte and then decay. So the triangle is like we're decaying back to our regular volume, and then we're getting a little bit softer. So da 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 da. So there's a slight decay in an accent, and so I would use the syllable ta or t, t t t t. Okay, and that's kind of how to decode this right side for accents. Accents mean we emphasize the note. We're going to play it slightly louder than what the written volume is, whether it's piano, mezzo forte, forte, and so on and so forth. Marcato, that upside down V. Okay. This means it is like an accent, but there's going to be space. So accented notes, we almost don't want any space. It's just that decay in between each note. But marcato, we want the decay and there to be a slight gap. Not as sharp as the staccato, but a slight gap. So I hope this video helps you understand the amazing articulations. We need to hear the difference between these articulations. When you're playing music and the composer's writing something slurred and then immediately staccato, we should be able to hear the difference. And then regular notes, right? So regular notes should be tongued like ta, 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 and have just a slight space, not a little bit more, like halfway between tenuto and staccato tenuto. Just a little bit of space. Okay, but they're connected. You want the sound to be connected. This is just the basics, okay? Because when you get into like college, you're going to have arguments with your section leader or people in college or higher ensembles like, well, staccato should be tongued this way. And then there could be like a whole huge debate of like, well, what kind of staccato do you want? And then some people will say, well, there's actually like 5 different ways to play staccato or whatever, right? And that's, I'm over exaggerating a little bit. But the fact of the matter, this is a video and a handout for just the intermediate and above students. And we're not talking about beyond high school um, level of articulations. Okay. So just bear that in mind. And I hope this video helps you out. And I'll go ahead and link this PDF in the description of the video too, if you want to print this out as a reference or just view it in a PDF. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.